It's the end of the month, so we're looking at a pop song. This time around, it's going to be Bad at Love by Halsey. Now let's do some analysis. Halsey, aka Ashley Frankopan, is an American singer and songwriter. Fun fact, her stage name actually comes from the Halsey Street Station in Brooklyn, because that is where she grew up, and it is also an anagram of her name, Ashley. For longtime fans of the channel, you might remember that we looked at Halsey in the very first episode when we covered
So baby, pull me closer in the backseat of your Rover that I know you can't afford.
Since then, she's done a little bit more, most notably
I am not afraid anymore. No.
Background. Bad at Love was released August 8th, 2017, and it charted at the end of the following month at number 81. As of the end of January, it currently sits at number 6. It was at number 5 last week, but somebody came in and had to move things around. Bad at Love is from her album Hopeless Fountain Kingdom. The album was released 2 months before the single back in the beginning of June. Along with Bad at Love, it also had
Baby, go love me now or never.
Halsey is listed as a writer, as well as Justin Tranter, who is a very well-known writer among the pop industry. Some of his biggest hits include
Is it too late now to say sorry? Yeah, I know that I let you down. Is it too late to say sorry now?
and
You burn me up, believer.
an additional writer and producer of the track would be one Roger Shahayed. Yeah, probably didn't say that right. He works more in the hip-hop industry, working on tracks such as
In the middle of the party, bitch, get off me. Goddamn. In the cut, I'm rolling up my broccoli. Goddamn.
as well as
Catch a wave on us. Take a shot, make a friend, just enjoy the moment. Blue sky walking on these haters.
joining him in both writing and producing is one Eric Frederick, also known as Ricky Reed. Ricky Reed is also well known and prevalent in the pop industry, working on tracks such as
When you talk dirty to me. You talk dirty to me.
in addition to
My name is no, my sign is no, my number is no. You need to let it go. You need to let it go. Need to let it go.
Bad at Love is released solely by Astral Works. The track falls into the synth pop category, is just over 3 minutes long, is in C major, 4/4 time, and is about 118 beats per minute. The song opens with an eerie choral inverted A minor chord before going into the song proper. Shortly thereafter, we're given the first verse.
Got a boy back home in Michigan, and it tastes like Jack when I'm kissing him.
After her boy trouble, she then goes into the first pre-chorus,
I believe that we're meant to be.
which if you look at the etymology of the word pre-chorus, you know what comes next.
I'm bad in love. Ooh, ooh.
She then goes into her second verse.
But I never got the chance to make her mine because she fell in love with little thin white lines.
And then after her girl troubles, she goes into the second pre-chorus.
Look, I don't mean to frustrate, but I always make the same mistakes, yeah.
And just like last time, the next chorus.
But you can't blame me for trying. You know I'd be lying saying,
Then we're introduced into somewhat new material in the form of a post-chorus.
oh, you know.
That then leads us to the bridge.
I know that you're afraid I'm gonna walk away.
And then the third and final chorus.
You're the one. Ooh, ooh.
And then she brings back the post-chorus material.
Oh, you know.
She alters the end of that section slightly to finally give us our outro. Instruments. So the song, instrumentally speaking, goes between thick and thin textures, given there's only a couple of instruments that are worth talking about and delving into analytically. Piano. We say piano, but it's actually probably more of a toy piano, which is realistically probably just a patch on a keyboard. During the chorus, it goes back and forth between playing these inverted A minor and G major chords, before at the end of the phrase playing an inverted C major chord. Later in the bridge, it takes on more of a melodic role, doing this upward scale motion on the offbeats. synth. This one's important because it's the most prominent instrument used in this song. This is an interesting melody because while the song is in C major, this melody is in A minor, so it plays with this sort of minor major motion that we have going on throughout the song. Bass. What, you don't want to just scream into the mic this time? So the bass is very hard to hear over the synth, but it's a bit more intricate, having a bit more motion to it. The interesting thing about it is when it works with the synth, it creates the standard F major, G major, C major progression, or the 4-5-1. Dulcimer. I mean, it's a patch, it's not an actual dulcimer. It sounds kind of like a hammered dulcimer, but I don't know what else to call it. So the dulcimer just kind of repeats this melodic pattern going C, G, B, G, A, G, E, G. Vocals. I'll be real with you, after doing so many of these, it's nice to have just one artist to cover. Verse. So the verses are all the same. They all play with this kind of rhythmic idea of the 16th note and the 8th note, and whether it's on the beat or off the beat. Melodically, they're all the same as well, going C, D, C, or G, E, G, with the occasional grace note thrown in for some flavor.
Got a boy back home in Michigan, and it tastes like Jack when I'm kissing him. So I told him that I never really liked his friends. Now he's gone and he's calling me a bitch again.
So the biggest change we really get in the verses is at the end of the second verse, where she layers over herself in thirds.
But I always think about it when I'm riding through.
Pre-chorus. So the pre-chorus has more going on in it and can be separated into two distinct parts. So the first part does these offbeat runs of 16ths, doing melismas on the downbeat. Given those melismas are not always there, so sometimes we can lose the beat if you listen to it too much.
I believe that we're meant to be. But jealousy get the best of me. Look.
The second part of the pre-chorus instead plays with this 16th note, 8th note figure, which gives it this sort of pseudo-swung figure before she drops off at the end.
I don't mean to frustrate, but I always make the same mistakes, yeah. Always make the same mistakes, cause...
Chorus. Unsurprisingly, the chorus is the most melodic part of her vocals. Obviously, the biggest part of this is the name drop, when she's going G, C, A, C, A, G, followed by a more syllabic figure going down to the C below that.
I'm bad in love. Ooh, but you can't blame me for trying. You know I'd be lying saying.
The second half of the chorus repeats that idea, but in the syllabic part it has these chromatic grace notes thrown in that almost give it a blues flavor.
You're the one. Ooh, that could finally fix me. Looking at my history.
Post-chorus. So the post-chorus could be really seen as an extension of the chorus, but it occurs twice in the song, and it has two distinct voices, so I figured I'd give it its own section. So while the first voice is just doing the bad at love figure, Halsey layers over herself doing this new figure, starting at an A and dropping to C.
I'm bad in love. Oh, you know.
In the second half of it, while the first voice is still doing the bad at love figure, she does a variation on it, instead going E, A, G, A, G.
I'm bad in love. Ooh, I'm bad in love.
Bridge. The bridge repeats itself a lot, as a lot of bridges tend to do in pop music, but it's still worth going over. The first part of this bridge has this down and up figure going from E to C to E. The second part of the phrase is just a downward motion starting at G going down to C.
I know that you're afraid I'm gonna walk away. It's time the feeling fades. It's time the feeling fades.
So the second half of the bridge does the same thing, albeit one melodic figure in the first bar, but she chops off the last bar so she can go into the last chorus.
I know that you're afraid I'm gonna walk away. It's time the feeling fades.
Overall, not a bad track. I've been attracted to the synth line ever since I've been going over this because it's so catchy. And it's a good thing I can still have these connections and feelings about these songs, especially after doing so many of them. Because it'd really be unfortunate if...
The feeling fades. You know I'm bad in love. But you can't blame me for trying. You know I'd be lying saying you're the one.
We've come a long way since calling her Frankenberry, and if you don't get that reference, go watch the very first episode put up on this channel. Yes, I know the audio is bad, it was a learning experience, I've gotten better since then, cut me some slack.
That could finally fix me, looking at my history, I'm bad.